Right, guys. Um, been a few things happening in the old uh, crypto world, and I don't talk about this much on here because, like, it's not a crypto channel as it was. But like, um, I do watch a few people who are just who just can't see past what it is and what's been happening for 10 years. This has been going on 10 years now, and people still can't really grasp it. You know, there's so there's two main things in the world of digital assets. One of them is Bitcoin, and the other one is all the other stuff, and they're not the same thing. If you know about uh, crypto properly, um, so and there's various forms of these coins, which are like proof of work, proof of stake, and you'd have to look into it yourself. But like anyway, so some people, I watch a guy called Jeremiah Babe, and I watch him. I don't know why, but I just watch him every day as a go-to. And I don't know why, and I quite like him, and he is genuine. He's genuine, and a lot of people are like that. And he's like this Peter Schiff, who's like he's been saying Bitcoin is garbage for 10 years, and it's driven him to like almost distraction. You know, he's kind of he keeps waiting for the day, and he gets all these glimpses, and a lot of people just follow it. You know, and I don't know how many times we've been announced that like it's all over and it's finished, and the biggest one actually, and the best opportunities probably that's ever arisen in the last 10 years was in March 2020 when the lockups uh, happened. Bitcoin went right down to, I think it was 4 grand, 3.5, 4 grand. And I had a load of silver then. Although, anyway, I won't say what happened, but you can guess. But but like that was the best opportunity that's ever arisen because it was already established by then. It should have been, and people should have realised it was already a viable bet, right? And it's still a bet, and everything's a bet. Property is a bet. Starting a business is a bet. Getting married is a bet. Getting divorced is a bet. Everything's a bet. Everything's a kind of not a given, except maybe grave digging, something like that. That's probably the best bet of all if you can get a company, funeral directors or whatever. That's always been, mainstay. Or I think the best business on paper is old people's homes in the UK. One of the best business ideas. And it could be a thing here actually in Bulgaria. Anyway, let's get back to so so I had a little bit of a comment that like the strategic reserve. Now this is going to go if I think the way it's going to go. There's even another, and these bets keep arising all the way through this 10 years with Bitcoin, and you get a fresh opportunity to have a bet every now and again. And like the last one that arose, I think it was about, it went to from 70 to 15, 15 and a half, something like that. And that was the last good bet. And and you know, I kind of, shall we say, had a bet then. But yeah, so this comment on the channel said, you, you, your investments have been saved. Well, it's just gone down to, I think it was, I don't really take that much notice now because it happens so often. It happens all the time. And this is when people comment on it. You never hear anything except for these, and then you'll see something on the news or whatever, because they'll never mention it either, when it's going the right way. But all these things, there's two things about Bitcoin. One of them's, and the reason why it goes down so often and back up, down and back up and back down, is because of the futures, and they're wiping out these traders betting on the futures, which basically a bet whether Bitcoin's going to go up or down. That's it. In a nutshell, that's the bet. Now, and then people say that there's a crash, there's a big sell-off and all that. And all this money got wiped off. The money never gets wiped off. The money never gets wiped off. It just goes around. It just goes to somebody else. When there's a sell-off, people are buying. When people are selling, they're selling to someone who's buying, right? And a lot of it's stop losses and stuff like that. If you know about trading, it's automatic. It's stop losses. So if it's going down, there's things in place, measures in place where people will sell at a loss to cut the losses at that point. It's a stop loss kind of thing. That's what they call it. And the same going the other way. If someone bets it's going to go up, they'll drop it. And this is why it's going up and down all the time. Right, so that's number one. That's the market side of Bitcoin, because it's a speculative asset. Right, now this guy who I watch, Jeremiah Babe, he goes on about like, it's gambling, and he's absolutely right. It's true. Short term, it's a gamble. Short term gambling every day, like every market, like even the forex, foreign exchange. People bet on that all day, every day. Whether like, you know, the pound is going to go up. These micro amounts, and they bet a lot of money on them all the time. Frequency betting, and they bet on it all round the clock. Foreign exchange. So anything that goes up and down, people are betting on. And they say this volatility in Bitcoin, but then you've got to go, right, so that's that side of it. And once you understand that, you either take part or you don't. And the other people just buy it and keep hold of it. And they can do like a long-term thing where you go, right, you know, you've got to say you buy it at $50, and then you say, right, I'll take 50% off out when it gets to $300, and people do that, and you see that on the big marks, like 50 grand. You know, you'd see it. That would be a lot of automatic cells will be built in there, and it's difficult to get over these big numbers, these rounded off numbers like 50 grand and 100 grand, and it gets there, and then you'll see it just drop down because people have put automatic cells in there from years back or whatever, and it builds up, they build up and build up and build up and build up, and they're called the resistance points, you know. So that's the trading side of it, of Bitcoin, and people also do it on the metals markets. Every market, coffee, oil, they bet in all the time on the futures. They have futures as well, and you bet it, on the price of oil in 6 months' time or a year or whatever. And they have, and you also get these dates where bets are settled every now and again. When the futures, there's dates where it's like by this date, and it's one market, and then when you get to that date, it's either you've won or you've lost, rather than when it reaches a value. It can be time as well, or both. Anyway, so that's one half of it, and that's why it's volatile. And people say, "Oh, it's volatile." Well, that's why. When you understand it, that's that side of it. The other side of it is the underlying movement of Bitcoin. The underlying movement. It's like crocodile's teeth, but it's always going in that direction, because more and more people are getting involved. More and more people are trusting it. Even countries, and the first countries that get in, winner takes it all. Same as the first people that got in. Well, actually, not the very, very first people, because a lot of people, it was hard to store it in the old days. There wasn't any cold wallets or anything like that. I mean, when I started, it was paper wallets. Paper wallets, you had to print out the paper. If you lost that piece of paper, you could lose everything. But now it's a bit easier if you know what you're doing. It's a story. So there's the thing. So gold and silver and things like that, they have a speculative market, and they have people who put it in vaults, and they call it store of value. And people don't accept that Bitcoin is a store of value and a speculative asset at the same time, which gold is. It's the same. It goes up and down, up and down. And it's just the increments, it's just different. But if you zoomed in or zoomed out on the increments like they do on the Forex market, you're talking about the dollar goes up and down by about 5 cents. It depends how much you put on the bet, doesn't it? You can win or lose the same amount with a smaller amount of money or value on markets that are more volatile. You bet less, but you can bet large amounts on a Forex, because it's not gonna be wild every day on a daily basis. Sometimes you get wiped out, and then the parameters become narrower. So that's the two things about Bitcoin, and I hope some people kind of listen. And these opportunities have been presented now to normal people, which you never were allowed to do all these things in the past. In the old days, it was hard to do stocks and shares. People can do it now on platforms like Robinhood, and there's one in Austria called Bitpanda. They do the lot. If anyone's interested in stocks and shares and metals, Bitpanda, they do the lot. But and it's just anyone can do it. And Robinhood, I think that's the one in America. But for European people, I think that's about the best one for all sorts of investments, and you can do all sorts on there as well, ETFs and all that, on Bitpanda. So if you're interested in that, it doesn't need Forex. You can do Forex as well for an exchange. But before it wasn't available to normal plebs, people. But now they get told by the media and the people they're the people who are buying it. And people like Christine Lagarde, I know she's got a stash. And it'll come out one day. And she says it's only used by criminals and all that. But she knows all about it. And you can tell that she knows all about it because she's got it. And she's got tons of it. And so does Trump. And they'll tell you the opposite. These people, that's why they're rich. But this has been opened up to normal people for 10 years. And they're still saying, oh no, I heard on the news it was dodgy, used by criminals. Well, criminals use fiat money every day. That's the main thing they use. I mean, Bitcoin is traceable. A lot of people get caught and for criminal things, and when they go into the computers and all that and get it confiscated, it's traceable. It's all traceable to the address. All you need is someone's address. We see, and that's like a bank account number. There's two numbers: personal, public, and private. And once you know someone's public address, you know exactly all the transactions they've ever done. So the last thing you would use if you were a knowledgeable criminal is Bitcoin. The last thing. And these politicians, they all know that as well. This Lagarde, because she's a criminal. She was convicted. She's convicted criminal. Lagarde. She's in charge of the ECB, European Central Bank. So, pot calling the kettle black. But she's got a stash, and all the other people will have as well. And all the politicians in America, they've all, one by one, they all come on board because they know the strategic reserve has been coming along. They know, those who are paying attention anyway. So I would say maybe 50% of them have got a stash. Maybe more. There's only a few that are out and out against it. And I think they actually are against it and they don't have any. It's like Elizabeth Warren and people like that. And this Peter Schiff, he's not a politician, he's a banker, but he's always been against it. But like he kind of, and this Jeremiah Babe, they kind of make it more and more obvious that it's worthwhile. And he said today, even today, that like, did you buy the dip? And you'll probably do well if you've got the money to lose. I mean, Bitcoin has been saying that forever. They've been saying that to people forever. Never borrow money to buy this speculative assets, and that'll go for any speculative asset. Even a house now, it's not a safe bet anymore. No way. And that kind of stuff, There are some safe bets, like I've said, old people's homes and grave digging and things like that. But apart from that, everything's a bet. Everything. The biggest bet you'll ever make is, and if you've got any money, is marriage. That's the biggest, that's the most risky bet that you'll ever do. Some people, because of the odds of failure. I'm not saying it's anything bad or anything like that, but the odds of failure. And talk about like if you don't want to lose it, if you're not prepared to lose everything, don't do it. It's not Bitcoin. That's a much safer bet than getting married. I hate to say it, like, for people who just about to get married, but like, That's the biggest bet that people do, and they lump it in to buying property at the same time. At exactly the same time as they get married. That's the next thing they do. And they're the worst, it's probably the worst bet. The property isn't the bet. The bet is that you can lose the property through the other bet. It's like having a double in the horse racing. And you lose them both. You can have one winner, which might be the property, but you can lose. If you lose the other bet, which is the marriage, you've lost them both. In some cases, right? So there's an outline, just a brief outline of, what I think of digital assets. Okay.